I'm Kev.
And I'm Steve.
And we're from the internet.
Want to help us spread the We're From the Internet word? Leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and Stitcher would give us a nice little boost in the search results and help new listeners find us.
What would you do if you stumbled or bumped into something in public?
Stumble a bit.
Stumbled or bumped?
Yeah, I'd probably go, ow! Or, oh, silly me. Maybe go a little bit red. Don't really see why this is a question on the internet, though.
Is this one of these Yahoo questions?
No, this is that fella who lives in the computer. This is just what he's wondering today.
See, I have a habit of over-explaining myself to strangers, so I'd probably assume somebody nearby cared that had happened, and I over-explain or reference it until they just kind of laughed and nodded and walked away thinking, what?
Shall we model it now? If we go out and I'll just trip you up. Next time we're out, I'll just trip you up and see what happens, and I'll film it and we'll stick it on YouTube.
You should try and do that all the time, but you never succeeded.
I used to... In fact, this is turning into the Tales from University podcast. You remember when I used to fall over sometimes?
Yeah, on purpose, just to see what would happen, what his reactions would be.
I don't know if I could still do that now. I must have been a remarkably fit young man.
No, you were just on a lot of painkillers, I think.
Yeah, every now and again we'd just be walking down a corridor and I'd just throw myself to the floor, then get up and carry on walking. And just...
You threw yourself down the stairs once as well.
Yeah, just to see what the reaction would be. But, yeah, generally, if you just fall over in a corridor, people don't rush to help you. They just sort of go silent and look at you and then wait for you to get up. I want to know how long you have to stay down for before someone helps you up.
That works in such great ways, though, because I know from when I met my wife, when I've been to many gigs, that if you just ignore a queue and walk to the front and start walking your way through into whatever you want to get into, or like when I was at gigs, I just walked to the front and put my coat in a cloakroom and just walk back out. No one questions it. They all just stand there silently, assuming you're either important or just they're too British to say something about it. So you can pretty much do whatever you want and no one will comment on it unless... I mean, if you give them enough time to really analyse the situation, then yeah, they're gonna pipe up with the confidence to question you or to ask if you're okay. But if you just dove on the floor, rolled around in agony, stood up and walked away, no one's going to ask about that.
The problem is, though, now you've put that theory out there on the internet, what if you get two people doing it in the same place? What if you get me throwing myself to the floor in the same place as someone else is just marching to the front of a queue and they somehow clash and I throw myself on the floor in front of the person marching to get to the front of the queue and we collide and we both challenge the other one? It ruins the game for everybody then, doesn't it?
I don't know. I suppose people just wouldn't know what to do. They'd be frozen by the indecision and they wouldn't know whether to help you, stop me.
This is something that we should be building a YouTube channel around, just doing things you wouldn't expect people to be able to do and seeing what things people don't react to.
Well, I watched a YouTube video of a man walking up to people and narrating what they were doing. And so many of them just didn't react or weren't sure what to do, so they just grinned and that was it. And I thought, wow, so I can just walk up to him and be like, he stood there watching the screen tick over, counting the numbers until the podcast was over, and you just wouldn't react to it. So yeah, there's plenty of stuff we can do.
Where do you think the line is, though? So if I throw myself to the floor in front of somebody and they don't react immediately, if I lie there on the floor motionless for 5 seconds, are they reacting then? Or are they just going to pretend they didn't see me?
I think 5 seconds is long enough that they might say you're all right. And some people might react quicker. It depends how...
Because if someone fell over in front of me, I think I'd go to help them up straight away. I don't think I'd just step around them and pretend it didn't happen. Perhaps it was just the idiots we associated with at uni. Oh, someone's fallen over. Better move around them, make sure I don't fall too, and then carry on about your daily business.
Because I always find myself reacting too quick to things. Like I'll see somebody with a walking stick getting on a bus and I'll leap up and go to the back of the bus and everyone around me is thinking, what's he doing? He's just got up and changed seats randomly. They pull a really weird face like I'm a mentalist. And then the person with a stick gets on and sits down and...
You're getting up and moving before they're even on the bus?
I just see him coming and think, right, I'm out of here. I just play, I'm efficient. If I see that they're going...
What if there's 4 people in front of them in the queue? Surely, by moving before they're on the bus, you're risking letting some teenage hoodlum get your seat.
It's not my problem, though. I've done my bit.
Yeah, but you haven't. Your bit would have been saving the seat for the person who needed it and then moving at the right time. All you've done is freed up a perfectly good seat for a young couple to sit at and canoodle on. You're encouraging public canoodling. If you'd have stayed there and sat next to the guy with a walking stick, the canoodlers would have had to have stood up, and then they're not going to get all spit all over each other in public, and that's good then.
What gets me is when I'm sat there and, I don't know, let's say I'm sat there, I'm on a row with like 5 men or whatever, and a woman gets on, and every man suddenly just looks at one another thinking, which one of us is going to be a gentleman, and which of the 4 of us is just going to sit here? And I don't know if I just I overthink social situations. This is why I'd be terrible if I fell over because I'd talk too much about it. But I sit there and think, I'm married. I have nothing to gain from this except being nice.
It wouldn't even cross my mind to get up. I wouldn't even be looking back and forth thinking who's going to move.
It's not necessarily for a woman, but for someone elderly, anything. I just think if they're standing in the middle and they're equal distance from 4 chairs, I sit there thinking, well, whoever doesn't get up is just dick. And the rest of us, you know what I mean? So I just get up. I get up because I'm just trying to be a nice person. But sometimes when I'm really tired, I think, I'm a nice person and I feel
Flip
bad.
that around. You're on crutches. You've broken your ankle because your podcast associate kicked you under the desk as you were recording a show. But you're on crutches now. You walk onto the bus. No one moves. What do? You know, if that bus starts and you're still hobbling around on your crutches, you're falling over. Do you ask someone to move? Do you start walking towards the one you think should move?
See, I don't know. I think the Britishness in me would make me either
just fall over and break your other
fall
ankle.
over, or try and get to a seat up the back, or
would you just go and sit on someone's knee?
I'd try and go up the
Tap on
stairs. I'd
someone's
probably end
shoulder?
up wandering around the bus trying to find a chair, or just sit on the floor. I don't think I'd have the gall to ask someone to move, because even then the real cynic in me sometimes just thinks, well, why did you get on the bus at rush hour? But that's really outrageous because I suddenly then think to myself, well, they probably have things to do and places to go. But
wouldn't you? I would go and stand next to the person who looked like they should be moving and just stand really close to them. So as the bus starts to sway, I'm just constantly knocking into them until they get annoyed. Yeah, exactly. And if I say, "Can you stop doing that, please?" You'll just go, "I wish I could." It's so much to stand.
I'd like to. I'd never be in that situation where they wouldn't give up their seat. But then, apparently, I live in a situation where no one would set up a Just Giving page if I was dying.
Want to get every episode of We're From The Internet at least a day earlier than the iTunes and Stitcher folk? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/pledge to support us on Patreon, and as well as early access, we'll throw in an exclusive weekly show just for our patrons too.